I can't remember when I first heard about Florida's 10,000 islands, but I do remember I've wanted to see them ever since. January 2018 was the chance I needed, so I invited some of my cool friends, Gary Yoder, my cousin Clayton Schrock, and Andrew Hines. Together, we packed our kayaks and hit the road for Goodland, Florida, where our adventures truly began. January 6, 2018, we rode the outgoing tide west from Goodland into the 10,000 Islands. My kayak felt strange and tipsy at first, but I quickly warmed to my work. The 10,000 Islands were all and more than I imagined. Despite the chilly temperatures, we enjoyed gorgeous weather. The water was often very shallow. Once we climbed from our kayaks for a little wade. A little exploration revealed an ocean teeming with life. Six miles later, we pitched our tents on Cape Romano, our home for the next 2 nights. After a blinding sunset, we closed the day with supper and a warm conversation about a crackling fire. The next morning, we started our paddle by exploring the Cape Romano dome houses situated about 180 feet offshore. Constructed in 1980 by the retired businessman Bob Lee, they were abandoned in 1992 when erosion threatened their structural integrity. The rest of the day, we paddled through the maze of islands, bays, tidal streams, and mudflats north of Cape Romano. Beautiful white beaches and a fantastic array of wildlife. This is the 10,000 Islands. evening, Andrew, Clayton, and I paddled offshore to a small sandbar, braving 1 mile of brisk wind and choppy surf in both directions. After our return, Clayton took a swim. Another driftwood campfire and Spanish rice and beans brought another beautiful day to a close. On our third day, in the 10,000 Islands, I paddled alone to Blind Pass to meet my friend Chief Brandon and the little boys he was canoeing with. Meeting Chief Brandon is always a good thing, especially in a beautiful place like the 10,000 Islands. After hanging out with Chief Brandon and his fellow chiefs, I paddled to meet up with my friends for our return to Goodland. For lunch, we landed on a little mangrove island to cook some fish. The evening paddle into Goodland was some of the most peaceful water we had seen. It was a fitting close to 3 fantastic days in the 10,000 Islands. The final day had arrived. After 3 days of paddling through the salty 10,000 Islands, we were ready for some backwater. So Tuesday, January 9, 2018, found us paddling up the Turner River into the heart of the Everglades. The mangroves formed an impenetrable jungle on either side, and the water turned an unhealthy brackish brown. Nevertheless, it was a peaceful river to paddle, even against the current. Once we reached the river's head, we entered the swamp's deep shade through a narrow mangrove tunnel. The swamp was quiet and dark, but nevertheless full of wildlife. Unfortunately, numerous deadfalls barred our path. We pushed bravely forward through branch and over limb, but in the end, fallen trees and mud forced us to turn back in defeat. Our disappointment was cut short, however, by an 8-foot alligator chilling on the bank. It was special to have such a close encounter with one of these magnificent lizards. Everglades City welcomed us back with a glorious sunset and an ocean smooth as glass. Climbing from my kayak for the last time in Florida under such a sky was a sad moment. But I like to think I'll be back. Meanwhile, I can enjoy the happy memories I made, like watching the pelicans fight at the boat landing in Goodland, or deep frying pancakes for breakfast, or just the laughs I had with friends. Even if I never see it again, the wild 10,000 islands and the deep dark Everglades will doubtlessly stay with me forever.